Welcome to another episode, everyone. Explosive. OG Hoovers tapped in with the big fella about Jap5. I must say, Jap5 called in as well. He was not happy about the recent videos I had been making on him. I was just explaining to him, bro, I'm not trying to say that you all bad. I'm just saying about a 50-50 yard being all bad. He said, man, come on, bro. I'm not all bad. I'm all good in the hood. The OG homies told me in prison that I can go to the 50-50 yard. And I said, well, that's different. I said, bro, I did a video explaining there's a certain group. I said, did you watch that video? You didn't watch that video. You screaming at me on the phone. He was screaming. He was mad. He said, bro, I'm trying to, make it in the industry. You putting out these videos on me. He said, even Mozzie asked me, what's up with tall blood or tall dude saying this stuff about you? I said, bro, I wasn't intending to try to smut your name because I said I was defending you throughout the whole video, all of my videos, because, I know Jap, as I said, and other people had even felt like I had been defending him, but I can see where he would get upset at. He was playing he played the part for me, the video, where he says that I said that he was all bad for having went on that 50-50 yard. I said, well, bro, I also did a video, I said, explaining like the next day or so that this is the only group that can go on the 50-50 yard. I said, and I explained who that group was. And I said in that video, throughout that video, that ain't nobody really tripping on that like that these days. It really just depends on your own homies, on your group, if they really tripping about you going to a 50-50 yard. If they give you the pass, they give you the green light to go over there, then you can go over there without being all bad. I said, what about that? When I said that, he said, yeah, but you didn't include my name in that. I said, yeah, I don't know that you got permission to go over there to the 50-50 yard. No one told me that that you got permission. I didn't know. He said, well, I did, bro. I got permission from the OG homies. He named 4 homies that's in a penitentiary that he got permission from. And I happened to speak to one of them. They all, I can get a hold of them. I said, let me check and see what's going on. I don't want to put out any misinformation, but I don't want to, retract what I've said or what I'm saying if that's not the case, bro. If you didn't get permission to be over there, then you were not supposed to be over there. He said, no, bro, the OG homies told me it's okay. I said, well, that's different. I said that already on my channel, that if you got permission to go over there, then you can go. That's just the way it is in these prisons now. As I've said just recently, all of these prisons are 50-50 now. They're all becoming 50-50. There's still a few good yards or non-50-50 yards, whatever. But a lot of them are 50-50 now. And I said something that they're just going to take over the few yards that are left that are still non-designated, non-50-50. 50-50 yards are trying to take over all of them. So at any rate, he said, the OG homies told me that I can go over there to that yard as long as I don't go back to a full yard. He said, they said if I go over there and then go to a 4 yard, they might be tripping on that 4 yard. You feel me? Because even though the homies are giving them permission, it might be the group of blacks there, not just the Hoovers, but a group of blacks there saying, no 50-50s coming to this yard. That was on the 50-50 yard. You can't come over here. We don't care who you are, where you from, or what your homeboys gave you permission to do. This is the line that we're pushing on this yard. So the homies told him, Jap5, you can go and head over there to the yard, bro, because you about to go home. You got a lot going on. We know you don't have anything bad on you. You're not a snitch. We know who you are. You a solid, strong homie. You've been putting in work. You're putting in work in the county jail. And now you only have a little time and you're trying to get out. Going over there, In fact, the homies, when I talked to them, named a few individuals that have been on the 50-50 yard. Yeah, I didn't know. And they all in the hood. They're all good. Everywhere, wherever they're from, that's where they at. I got a hold of the homies inside of the penitentiary. I asked them point blank, bro, the issue going on the internet, the 50-50 yards and all of that. And I've been speaking to individuals in prison about the 50-50 yards and what they're all about and who can go over there and who cannot, legally without being in violation. And I said, typically they don't want younger dudes over there, So Jap5 is not that old, and he's active. Should he have been on the mainline yard? Did y'all say that he can go to a 50-50 yard? Did y'all give him permission? Because if so, then I misspoke on my channel and I need to clear it up but I did say that, you have certain permissions, certain groups, certain individuals can go over there. Certain cars, they just not tripping like that. And of course, there's favoritism involved always, and all that sort of stuff. Some people can go over there and get away with it. Someone else go over there, they're going to say, man, you ain't no good. But this individual go over there, OG homies have been over there and it's like, whatever. That's just the way it is. So, the OG homie, and he is indeed an OG, he can make this call for sure. 10 trillion%. He quickly let me know in no uncertain terms that Jap5 indeed had permission immediately to go to the 50-50 yard. He said that they already knew Jap5 was coming to the penitentiary. They already keeping up with every situation. Individuals that are heading to prison, this is just the way it is, particularly with these cell phones, everyone can stay in communication now. So they already knew that he was heading there, and they let it be known immediately that they told him, specifically, Jap5, so according to the OG himself, that he could go to a 50-50 yard. However, just do not go to a level 4 yard after that. You have to parole. You can go to the 50-50 yard, but you have to parole from there. They told him, don't go to a 50-50 yard and then try to go back to the main line. If you're going to go to the 50-50 yard, go there, stay there, and parole. And know we're giving you permission. You're not all bad. This is what we're saying you can do. So that's what he did. I said, okay, well, that's different. I told Jap, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, you didn't tell me that, or, no one told me that the OG homies said that it was okay. Because, that's what a lot of people are saying. It's just a lot of miserable older dudes on the yard that want people to stay there with them on these yards, on these main lines, instead of going to the 50-50, want them to be over there and be miserable with them. So, but in this case, the older homies were on the opposite page. They said, no, you go over there. Go and stay over there. This stuff is nothing now. These penitentiaries. We don't need you. We don't need your help. Because sometimes they don't want dudes going over there to the 50-50 yards because they want to keep the numbers. Or they want numbers. They want the odds to be, even, at least the blacks. So they say, man, we have all these dudes going 50-50. We don't have that many on the main line. Some kick off. We in trouble. Where are you dudes at? Come over here and stand up with us on this main line. So they be looking for the numbers to, stay sort of equal. This is a part of the reason, this is according to the OG homies, that individuals have been against the 50-50 yard because they're trying to keep their numbers up, which is understandable. But again, the OG homies told Jap5 that he got permission to go to the 50-50 yard, bro. Jap5 got permission to go to the 50-50 yard from the OGs in prison. Spoke with them myself. Yes, I spoke with Jap5. Yes, he was upset. I told him, bro, hey, my bad. I didn't know. He said, well, that's why you should check and find out. Tap in with the homie. Find out. I do tap. I'm in constant contact with him. The homies in the penitentiary and all that. But the subject never came up because, as I said, I didn't even know Jap was on a 50-50 yard until a week or so ago. If that, a few days ago when someone, 4 Extra mentioned it. That's literally when I found out. So, of course, I didn't ask the homie, what's up with him in the 50-50 yard, whatever. I didn't even know he was on a 50-50 for the discussion to ever have come up. So, there you have it. Now we know Now I know Jap5, he can go to the hood. I never said he couldn't anyway. He's all good in the hood. I mean, particularly because he got permission to go on a 50-50 yard. Other individuals are on these 50-50 yards without permission. Jap had at least had the wherewithal, the mindset to go through the proper protocols and say, let me cover myself. I don't want to be all bad. I know these 50-50 yards probably are no good. Let me make sure it's cool. Let me holler at the homie, I'm about to go home. Is it cool for me to go over here? The homie's having love for him, not wanting him to get in any trouble anyway, and to go home and shine a bright light on himself in the hood. Man, go over there and go home. We got this over here. They gave him the permission. So he went. As I told him, hey, my bad, bro. I'm not trying to make you look bad. I was just running my content. My viewers asked me what a 50-50 yard was. I'm trying to tell them, but no disrespect to you, I can never try to dethrone you or make you look bad on the internet, because I said from the beginning that Jap was a soldier, that he was a beast, that we can see him in restaurants putting in work. We saw him squabble 2 dudes in the hood back to back. I told you stories about him squabbling in the county jail, etc. So I'm never trying to smut you up. I tried to tell him, I'm never trying to make you look bad deliberately, or I didn't wake up and say, let me go over here and talk about Jap being on the 50-50 yard, that he's no good. No, I was doing a video about something else with 4Extra and Crit Mac, and then that came up. That subject came up, and so I spoke on it. But I'm not. I said, what about the part where I said that there's a difference? Which it's just common sense, but there's a difference between going to a 50-50 yard and you have done nothing wrong, you just want to go home, and going to a 50-50 yard and because you got removed from the yard. I did say that both of them are all bad. That's the way they're looking at it in prison. I'm still staying on that. On 4 yards, that's how they're looking at it in prison. Regardless of how you got over there, you shouldn't be over there. This is how they're pushing it, unless you got permission. But it's still all bad, because the homies even told Jap, going over there, but don't try to go to a 4 yard afterwards. Go home, parole from the 50-50 yard. Don't go to the 50-50 yard and then try to hit the 4 yard. They told Jap that. Meaning that it's still looked at a certain way on the 4 yard. We are saying that you can do it. Nobody runs us. Nobody runs the homies. We're saying you can go to the OG homies. Like I said, they called this shot. They can call that shot. They called that shot. No one's going to question it, including myself. They're in there. They made that decision. They called that shot. Jap asked for permission. He didn't just go over there. At least he knew the rules. At least he knew what to do. But he's smart. He's intelligent. We see this from his interviews. So, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to politic. He knew already. Let me go in. Like I said, let me cover myself. I'm going to go in here and hit this 50-50 yard because of stuff like this. It comes up later. People trying to point the finger at me. I know what the rules are. I know I'm not all bad. It's not all bad if I didn't do anything wrong. And my my car said that it was cool for me to be over there, then I didn't break any rules. So, these other individuals are getting off the bus, going over there because they were violated, they got stabbed up, they got beat up, whatever. That's all bad. Or if you're just going over there and call yourself sneaking over there and no one's going to know, you're just going to go over there, duck and hide and parole from over there. No one is ever going to know that you were in prison or something. No, that's not going to work. You have to go through the proper channels, plead your case, essentially. Hey, bro, I'm about to go home. I'm trying to go home. I already caught all this time over here in the county jail. I got such amount of time left. Man, is it cool? Me to hit this 50, y'all just got to have me on this main line. Can I hit this 50-50? And apparently now individuals are in there saying, go ahead and go. Like literally giving individuals permission to hit the 50-50 yard. But again, on the level 4 yard, I want to make that clear. On the level 4 yard, it is still frowned upon being on the 50-50 yard, period. Which is why the homies told Jap5, go ahead and go over there, but stay over there. Do not go to a 4 yard after, because they're still over there on the 4 yard tripping, even though we gave you permission. if we're not there on the yard that you come to, we don't know what's going to happen. You come up a 50-50 yard, these other dudes might say, no, we didn't say you can go over there and whoop, you from Hoover too, you know what I mean? Boom, it might go up. So just if you don't go over there, that's fine. Make that decision, but stay over there because that's a decision that you made. That's what you want to do. You want to make it home, that's fine. Go over there and get home. Don't go over there and just say, I don't like it over here, and then want to come back to the main line. So that was the only stipulation as far as Jap5 was concerned. They gave permission. They said you can go under these conditions. As I said, I verified this myself just now. So Jap5 is good. He's not all bad. But again, I was never saying that he was all bad. I did say the 50-50 yard was all bad. I was never saying, or at least that was not my intention to say Jap5 was all bad. If anything, I've been defending him. I've been saying he'd been putting in work, and I couldn't understand why these other individuals kept bringing him up and saying that he was clout chasing them. So I understand Jap5 being upset, as I told him, when he broke it down and said, bro, what if I got out saying, yeah, this is the big homie. He was running the county jail, but, F him, you know what I'm saying? He ain't good like that in the hood no more. He don't come to the hood like that, What if I get out here just, or saying that you was a chomo and this and that? Like, I ain't worried about you saying this sort of stuff, but, but I get his point. You feel me? Like, what if I'm saying like, this is the homie, this is the big homie. Like the other dude's supposed to be speaking bad about me, but not you. I'm like, bro, I'm not speaking bad about you. I kept trying to explain that part to him as well. That, bro, I just wanted to get that part. I'm not speaking bad against you personally. Or at least that's not my intention. If it came off like that, my bad, I apologize. And not what I was trying to do. Because I don't think he's all bad. I know him personally. I know he's a real one. I know he's a soldier. So as I said, the 50-50, it threw me off too. Because I had never heard that he was over there. So it threw me off, knowing what I know about him. I know his father. I know him, as I've made clear here on the channel. So it threw me off. But now it makes more sense. He went through the proper channels and got the permission. It's not just Jap telling me that he went through the proper channels and got permission. I spoke to the individual I needed to speak to. They let me know for sure. Not that I wouldn't have took his word for it if he told me I got permission from such. Okay, my bad. Like I said, no one told me that, but it makes sense that no one would tell me that because I didn't even know that he was on the 50-50 yard. So I never even inquired, in that realm for someone to tell me, oh no, bro, he went over there, but he's good. Since it started coming up right now, the 50-50 yard, and Jap being on the 50-50 yard, since it started coming up, then of course, and it hit the penitentiary, and it worked its way in there. Now it's going around. So now that the subject has been brought up, now, of course, I'm going to be informed about what's going on. I wasn't talking about it at first, so no need for anyone to let me know about it. I didn't even know he was on the 50-50 yard. So there you have it. I just spoke with Jap5. Shout out to Jap5. My bad, bro. I know you're upset. Hey, I never tried to say you were bad. You were all, at least that wasn't my intention to paint you with a certain brush. But of course, had I known that you had got permission from the beginning, then yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't even did the video because I know what the rules are. The homie said you was cool to go over there, and that's just what it is. I'm not in there. I ain't got nothing to do with it. So let me know what you think in the comments. But Jap5, yeah, he was upset. He called in, and as I said, I spoke to the people I needed to speak to, and we had a decent conversation, a long conversation, just about everything that's going on the internet, YouTube, and the things that are happening in prison now, just the way that this stuff is working now. And the different individuals that have been to a 50-50 yard. I mean, we talked about all kind of stuff, and just how the politics are really working inside of these prisons right now. Things are different. A lot of things have changed. As I said, things have watered down. They've been watered down for some time now, though, and it hasn't stopped. There you have it, just for the record. Jap5 is good. He's good in the Hoovers. He's good in the hood. He's good everywhere. He got permission to go to a 50-50 yard. This is what individuals are in there doing. You get permission, you can go. I said as much on my channel. It's not like I'm changing my story. I said that much. He was one of the ones that got permission. I didn't know that. Now I do. I didn't know because I wasn't inquiring about it until it came up. My bad. Now I know. So They wanted to make that clear to me. That no, bro, he's good. We gave him permission. Now, had he went over there and no one said that it was okay, then that would be different. It would still be different, bro. It would still be bad to be on the 50-50 yard. But again, once you get permission, once your homie say that you can go over there, and many individuals are in there doing that, in fact, then it's good. That's what the rules are. So he followed the rules. And he was smart enough to do that, as I said. A lot of these individuals are getting there, getting off the bus and just going inside of to the 50-50 yard because they don't want to deal with the main line. They're not talking to anybody. They're not going through any channels. They're trying to hide. They don't even want people to know that they're in there, that they're locked up, much less about to announce themselves by hollering at the proper people. They're not hollering at anyone. So there's a difference. Jap went about it the right way, the way that you're supposed to go about it. And again, I personally confirmed this myself, or I wouldn't be saying it. But once I found that out, and I said, okay, well, I do want to come on here and correct myself on that because, I didn't know. I didn't know that he had got permission, but he did. So there you have it. I'm done with the 50-50 yard and the 50-50 talk anyway. I was already done with it. But Jap called me. I understand him being upset, and I had to tap in myself on everything that he was telling me too, as I said, and I did. And that's what it is. That's what happened. He didn't just make it up. They actually told him he can go over there, so he was in the clear. That's all he kept saying, bro. I'm not all bad. I'm a gangster. I'm not boo-boo. The homie said I can go over there. The OG homie said I can go over there. Okay, my bad. I didn't know. No one told me, man. My bad. I can understand him being upset about that. Someone put some on my name, I'll be upset as well. So I get it, but that wasn't my intention. It's all I was trying to let the young homie know. But that's it, man. Everyone just need to get out of prison anyway. He out. He made it home safe. He got permission to be over there. That's it, man. He's trying to do better things. He's not even hanging out in the hood, not trying to go to the hood. None of that kind of stuff anymore. Everyone pretty much is done with that life. That's just what it is. The streets are dead. Stay safe and stay free, people.